Hello and welcome to another video podcast focusing on people working within the entertainment industry. My name is James and I'm a headshot photographer and videographer from Greater Manchester here in the UK. My guest today is Christian Le Feuvre, founder and tutor at Marble Academy, a spotlight recognised drama academy based in Swinton in Manchester. With nearly 40 years experience working within the entertainment industry, Christian has performed many roles on stage, from Shakespeare to Agatha Christie and Oscar Wilde. Christian has also worked as a casting director, a director, a writer, and most recently he is the organiser and promoter of the Actors and Filmmakers networking events held regularly in city centre Manchester. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more entertainment videos. So let's jump straight into the podcast. Hello, Christian.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you for coming to the podcast.
You're welcome.
I've been looking forward to this because I've read everything about you on your website and your YouTube, and I just want to find out more about you and Marble and everything else that you do. So if you could start, could you just tell us about yourself?
I'm originally from Jersey in the Channel Islands. I moved to London in 1989, where I started working in theatres and the West End and things like that. I did a lot of backstage work. I did a lot of running for, actors and whatnot and backstage. And I moved to Manchester in 97. But I was doing a lot of other things in between acting and stuff like that. So, yeah, but I've done a lot of, I studied acting in London. I went to LAMDA and went through all that rubbish. And, it wasn't. It was very insightful. But the thing that I found odd about LAMDA, which is something that I refused to do at Marble, is for about 2.5 months or whatever it was, they were okay, and now we're going to be a tree, and it's gone cold, and you're blowing in the back. No. When am I ever going to audition to be a tree? Come on. So I teach real life. I teach, this is what you're going to go up for. Do you know what I mean? Unless you are going to go for a tree, I'm not doing anything like that. Because I just found it so almost unnecessary. Anyway, there we are. So I trained through LAMDA. I did a lot of West End work. I've done everything from Shakespeare to Christie to Coward, Oscar Wilde, to pantomime. I played a dame about 3 times. Played Lady Bracknell twice. And I loved it. I started doing acting at school. I was in drama classes at school. And from like knee-high to a grasshopper, I really enjoyed it. Now, I am emphasising that for a set reason. I really enjoyed it. And my drama teacher could see I enjoyed it. And we were doing things like school productions of Oliver and, like that. And I was like, I want to be Oliver. She was like, no, you want to be the Artful Dodger. No, I don't. I want to be Oliver. It's the main part. And she went, no, you want to be Dodger. And I'll tell you why you want to be Dodger, because Dodger is a much better part and you've got the knacks for it. So I'm like, I want to be Dodger. But she could see that there was something in there. So I remember this distinctly, and this is why I emphasise the word enjoy, because this is where it all changed. One week at drama class, she put on, and I'm going back in the 70s because I'm 980. She put on the video, as it was then, of the Royal Shakespeare Company's Macbeth with Ian McKellen and Judi Dench, and I watched it. And at the end of it, I was in tears. And she said, are you okay? And I'm like, no, this has affected me. So that's what I have to do.
It still affected you?
Yeah, I still get emotional thinking about it. This is what I have to do. That's it. And that changed. That's why I emphasise the word enjoy. That's why I changed the word enjoy to this is what I tell my students at Marble, or I ask them, why do you want to be an actor? And I get lots of, I've had lots of people say, oh, because I want this, and I want to be in Corrie, or I want to be the next Joe. Wrong, go home, you're in the wrong game. Why do you want to be an actor? Now, I was asked that a long, long time ago, and this is what got me through LAMDA.
I was going to ask you that, but
Right, okay.
I was going to say,
okay.
when did you start?
Ask me the why do you want?
When did you start wanting to work in the entertainment industry?
Then really after that, because I was sort of when I grew up a bit, and when I went to London, I knew that I wanted to be an actor from that moment after watching that DVD. I knew that was it. That was the thing. But I was asked the question when I got to England. I was asked the question, why do you want to be an actor? And I replied, I don't want to be an actor. I have to. And that's the difference. So I went from enjoying it to this is it. This is my life. This is what I have to do. And people who are that into their careers understand the difference between enjoying something and it's just a job or whatever, to this is your lifeblood. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And it was that I knew there and then, this is the career for me. I've done other stuff. I've run pubs and I've, things like that, but this is the career for me.
So what is it you enjoy most about acting or the entertainment industry?
Being somebody else.
Because you've mentioned Marble Academy, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But Christian when he
Christian as an actor, when I enjoy everything. I mean, it's very difficult to put your finger on what you, especially when it's something you have to do. It's very difficult to put your finger on one thing, which makes it so brilliant. But I love the change in me when I'm somebody else, when I'm playing something, because I always, not playing somebody else, being somebody else. That's another thing that I bring up to my students. Don't play a part, be the part. Otherwise, you're not. Believability goes out the window. So I love being somebody else. I love that. But also, somebody asked me quite recently, actually, which do you prefer, stage or screen? Now, I love both. I've done both. But stage for me is much more visceral. I was doing a Christie and it got to a very, very quiet part in the play, and I had to deliver a line about who I thought killed and why and all that. And you could have heard a cockroach fart. It was like so quiet in the theatre. And I delivered my line, and I just heard this woman in the audience go, and I went off stage and I went, got her, I've got him, and it was that for me that made it so, do you know what I mean?
So it's that instant feedback.
Because an audience is there and it's that instant. But film, you don't get that for another year until it's released and all that, But it was just, my heart just boom. I mean, it was like, I get so passionate. I talk about it because I get so passionate about it. But this is, I love everything to do with this industry. Everything.
What type of characters do you like playing?
Anything. I'm quite controversial when I say what I'm just about to say, but this is my opinion.
That's what we want. Personal opinions.
I do not like when actors say, "Oh, what character do you think I can play?" You're an actor. You can play anything. I played Scrooge when I was 27. He's an old, very old man. I've played Lady Bracknell. I played pantomime. Don't put yourself in a box. Yes, you've got a niche for certain things that you can certainly do, or certain looks that you've got. I know somebody who's got a very Viking look. They've got a very straggly beard and that kind of look, So any film for a Viking, they'll go straight to him because that's his niche. But I keep saying, don't put yourself in a box because you're an actor. You should be able to play anything. So when it comes to what character, I don't care as long as I'm playing it, and that's the thing. I'll come to it when we talk about Marble, but it's something in the heart. It's something in here that matters. If it's not in here, you're just a jobbing actor who's doing it for the money. That's not me.
So you're not typecast?
I don't like to be, because if you're typecast, you're not showing a range. You're not showing a talent that you have. You're stuck in one rut. I can do this. And it just becomes lazy because you can do it, and you can do it again and again and again, and you're not doing any work.
So do you have a favourite one that you instantly comes to mind?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like I say, I've done everything from Shakespeare to Wilde to Coward. I think if you ask me, what is your most favourite play?
Christian, what's your most favourite play?
I see you take subtle hints very well, young man. I have to say The Importance of Being Earnest. I think it is the most perfect play ever written. Forget Shakespeare and all that. It is the most important. It is the most perfect. And I've spoke to Stephen Fry about this as well. It's so perfectly constructed. The humour in it is so hidden but visible. It's the wording. It's absolutely. I love it. I've done it about 4 times. I just love it.
Your passions come through there.
Yeah.
You obviously enjoy it.
Yeah.
What don't you like? What's the least thing you enjoy about the industry?
Oh, this is going to ruffle some feathers. I hate the snobbery. I see too much online. Oh, don't do unpaid jobs. We're actors. We deserve to be paid for our craft. You wouldn't get to paint a painting your house and expect him to do it for free. It's totally different. No. This industry is supposed to be a community. It's supposed to help each other out. You know, it's like I've done loads of short films, even a feature, for free because A, I enjoy the industry. I love doing what I do. B, you're meeting new people, so you're making contacts. I've done 5 short films for the same people. The first time they just got in contact with me. Can you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Yes, no problem. The second time they called me, would you like to do another? Yeah, no problem. The third time they wrote a part for me. The 4th time they insisted I came back, regardless of what I was doing. The 6th time they paid me. So you gain a reputation. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. No, it's not paid. I'm never doing. You gain a reputation of being like, oh, such a diva. Do you know what I mean? But this community is supposed to help each other out, and I hate I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand it's a career and you get paid and blah blah blah, and you don't not getting paid. But don't knock not getting paid either, because it's experience. You get a lot more. You get a lot more experience behind, in front of and behind a camera. You see what's going on. You see how to make movies. You meet a lot more people. Those people talk to each other. So if you're doing something well, they will say, if somebody else that they know is making a film, they might say, oh, well, if you need a 960-year-old guy, Christian's available, and he's really good, so get on with it. Do you know what I mean? So your name gets passed around. Yes, it's network again, yeah. And that's the thing.
And so, I suppose you're practicing your art as well, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah. And also, you might be helping somebody else there. If you're an experienced actor and there's a younger actor there who you might be able to say to him, no, if you do this, you go, oh right, okay. Do you know what I mean? So I don't like the I'm better than thou attitude.
Is it overly competitive?
It is, but that can be a good thing, but it also can be destructive. But yeah, I mean, you've got to
develop that thick skin.
You have. You've also got to understand that if you're going up for a part or an audition, I mean, I tell this to my students all the time, or various different versions of the same thing. Don't go in there just thinking, like I said before, it's like, you can tell the difference between jobbing actors who just do it for the money, and it's like, and the career-minded ones. If you're going up for an audition, be the character. Give them something they haven't seen before. Give them something to remember you by. Don't overdo it, or make a point of like showing off, or give them something to remember you for that way. Give them something where after all the auditions are done, they go, who is that? Remember that guy who did that? He now. Do you know what I mean? Because you're going to be in a room with 150 or 100 other people who are vying for the same role. They're all going to do exactly the same thing. If you give them something different, they'll remember you.
How do you stop yourself from being a ham then? Upping the role because you're up against those 150.
By being the character. Every actor, and this is what I tell my student, every actor has to understand and learn the difference between being an actor and being a character. You have to separate actor and character. I've written a few films, we'll get onto that later, but I've written a few films, and when I audition, I always say, I'm not like, for example, there's two characters in one of my films called Mark and Andrew. I say to people, I'm not looking for an actor to play Mark and an actor to play Andrew. I'm looking for Mark and Andrew. The reason I've got to get an actor in to play them is because they don't exist. But I've got to, make them exist. Show me that character. If Anthony Hopkins walked in and was like, well, yeah, it's such and such, and then an unknown walked in and was like, yes, I'm Andrew, blah, blah. He's getting the buzz. It's not Anthony Hopkins, as much as I love him, bless him. But do you know what I mean? I want to see Andrew. I don't want to see an actor.
Yeah. So you've been in the industry so long now. How has it changed? How has it evolved? Is this something you hark back to with perhaps rose-tinted glasses, or something you think, oh, yeah, no, it's great now, it's moved on?
I think it has changed. I think a lot more people now believe that if they're on TikTok or on YouTube or on, like they do, or, reality TV like The Only Way Is Essex, they're actors. No, you're not at all. No. You're just in front of a camera being you. It's like I always say, and I'm not knocking the programme, I love it, but things like Hollyoaks and whatnot, I believe certain characters, I'm not saying everybody, certain characters on that are the actor with a different name. So you're not being the character. It's just you meet them in real life and they're identical. Yeah, they're exactly the same.
Or they go and do a different role and they're the same person.
Exactly the same. Yeah. I mean, I say to my students, it's like, look at people like Anthony Hopkins, Tom Hanks, then look at The Rock, Jason Statham. Do you know what I mean? As much, I'm not, without line, yeah, and he's about 9 feet tall, so he's a wonderful man. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every film of Jason Statham, he's Jason Statham.
Even Arnold changes. He was quite.
Yes,
good.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's, do you know what I mean? And that's the difference. And I think now, so many actors have seen the way that those kind of actors work and think, oh, that's it. That's all I have to do. Just be me, but with a different name. Wrong.
So we briefly touched on earlier about networking. So do you use spotlights and social media?
I use social media to promote Marble and what I'm doing, and also networking events, because I run network. I organise and run networking events every 4 months. I've been doing them in centre of Manchester, and they've grown exponentially. I mean, the first one I had about 15 people there. The last one, which was the 7th I've done, I had over 100. So, boom.
So this is one of the big changes in the industry then, isn't it? Because social media, it's all with us every day, 24/7, but really it's only been with us a short time.
Yeah, but the thing with social media is you never know who's actually behind the typing. Whereas when you network in person, you meet the people and you discuss, that's why social media, I understand, I accept, it's out there, it's got to be, but I don't like it. I find it, and I also find it very, very bitchy as well. I mean, I've seen there's some sites on it where people will put on a headshot of them and and I've done this, or I've done short films, or I've done things, and people have just ripped them to pieces. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like I said earlier about, we'll never do unpaid work. What do you think you're doing? You're supposed to be you're supposed to be an actor. Don't do. And it's like, what are you doing? Don't. And the person who's genuinely asking a polite question then starts going, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. And you're putting them down. So they, and it'll destroy somebody's career. And it's horrible. I find it horrible. I find it vicious and nasty. I don't like that kind of thing.
I suppose because it is competitive, could be quite easy to upset people. And then that's when the bitchiness comes through.
Yeah, but there's a massive difference between bitchiness and competitiveness when you're up for the same role, to just putting somebody down for the sake of putting them down, which I see a lot on social media. And I find that disgusting. And again, controversially, unfortunately, that's what the big world's become now. And I find it awful. If you're going up for the same role and you're trying to get the role. I mean, I've actually been paid to go to an audition room where the auditionees are sat there waiting, sitting there, pretending I'm going in for an audition, saying, are you up for the role of, say, Peter? You up for the role of Peter? Oh, yeah. Really? You don't... I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? And because the reason that some casting directors will pay somebody to do that is to whittle out the ones who are, I'm just doing it for the money, and or I'm not really sure what I'm doing, to the actual real, this is my life and this is what do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. So it's quite cruel, but again, it's whittling out the genuine. Sometimes the casting directors will hire somebody, and sometimes a genuine actor, auditionee, will go in there and possibly be told to do that. Or sometimes there's not somebody in there, but there'll be somebody on the panel who'll be sat there going, just to try and put you off. Because
so a bit good cop, bad cop type.
Yeah. And also, I say to my students, I'm bringing that up a lot, but anyway, I never ever direct your audition to the person who's hosting the audition. If you walk into the room and they say, "Oh, nice to meet you, welcome, hi, tell us about blah blah blah," that person might be the janitor or the custodian or whatever you're supposed to call it now in this woke world. Do you know what I mean? It might not be the director. It might not. They might be sat at the end of the table, absolutely stum, very very quiet, just watching what you're doing. So never assume the person hosting is the main person, because so many actors go in there and, for want of a better word, absolutely kiss ass because they think, well, if I big up to the person in charge, I'm going to get the role. No, it might not be anybody to do with the movie. That happens.
Fascinating. Yeah. That's a little nugget I didn't realise happened.
Yeah. I'm giving away trade secrets and I shouldn't, but anyway.
No, that's what we want. So, is there one piece of advice that you've received and you thought, yes, that I'm using that's set me up?
Yeah. Be the character. Don't separate actor from character. Be the character. Just, it's don't ever assume that, being an actor is the be all and end all. You're not you playing a part. You are that part. Because if you think, oh, I'm playing that part, every time you're thinking that, when you're saying the lines, the actor is thinking, am I saying these right? Am I saying these right? The character wouldn't think that. The character knows how to say it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot more real. It's a lot more believable. It's a lot more genuine. The most important thing in acting is believability. If you do not believe in who you are as a character, what right have you got to expect an audience to believe you?
No, that sounds like that would be the advice you'd also give to someone.
Yeah, I do. I say, yeah. That's what I was taught. And also listen. Don't stand there waiting for your cue line. Oh, my line's coming up. Now I talk, blah, blah, blah. Listen to what they're saying, because then your reaction is a lot more genuine.
Go with the flow.
Yeah.
So it's like being a boxer, isn't it? It's got to be muscle memory.
Yeah.
You've not got to be thinking about it.
Yeah. I was doing a show, and it was during rehearsals, and I was stood there, and the director was like, "What are you doing?" "Nothing." "What are you saying?" "Nothing." I learned this from another actor, actually, and I did exactly the same. He was like, what are you saying?" "I'm not saying anything." "I don't have any lines yet." "No, what are you saying?" "Nothing. I don't know what you mean." I was like, this is when I was, and he was like, "No, you're saying everything. You've got a lot to say. You're just choosing not to open your mouth." So then when I was in that scene, I was listening to what was going, rather than just stood there waiting for my line. I was involved. You see?
Being the character.
Yeah. Because if you're visible, you're a character. If you're off stage or off camera, you're the actor. But if you're visible, you're a character, and that you have to remember all the time.
Thinking about Hollywood, some actors, did they take it too far when they suddenly lose load of weight or put lots of weight on, or they have to go off?
Well, I believe in method. Again, all this. I was asked because of the academy. I was asked, what do you teach? Do you teach Stanislavski, or do you teach Meisner, or do you teach the method acting or whatever? No, I teach acting. It's all it's all. People would disagree, I know, but it's all the same. It's if you are the character, you don't. I suppose my pitch for Marble If anybody asks me about, well, we'll come to that when you ask me about Marble. But I think when you say about do they go over the top and doing all this, I quite believe in method acting, because if you are that, which is just contrary to what I just said. But anyway, because if you are that character, you know how that character should be, look, etc. Christian Bale lost all that weight for that movie that he did and everything, because that's what the character was supposed to be like. So they could have hired in an absolutely pencil thin actor to play but he might not have done it.
Or done it with CGI.
Yeah, which is the bane of my life. But no, he got the audition. He lost the weight because he wanted to be. It's like Daniel Day-Lewis, another one who's very into being so involved in the role. But yet, look how many films he's really, you hardly ever, he stopped acting now, but then you hardly ever saw him. But when he brought out a movie, he went hell for leather and all in, because that's what you have to do. Gary Oldman's another one who goes so into the character.
Yeah, because sometimes you absolutely hate him.
Yeah.
Because of his character.
Yeah, but you hate the character, not him.
So we will be coming to Marble.
Yes.
Because these set of questions we've got now is so that we can find out more about Christian.
Yeah.
So we've touched on the inside. How do you keep sane in this world? Because it's a mad world.
Don't say this to my family. They'll ring you up and say, "What are you talking about? Sane? This boy's not sane."
Do you have time for hobbies and things like that, or do you sit and listen to music?
Well, I listen to music. I think my passion controls my sanity, because I'm so passionate about what I do, and I'm like, I get ready. My students will say, "Oh my God, the passion just oozes out of it." It's because they always say a hobby is something you love. I love this industry. I love what I do. I love the work I do. I love tutoring. I love to, that's my hobby. That's what I do. Again, the old saying, if you do a job that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I've not worked since I was about, if that's the truth, I've not worked since I was about 9. So it's like, that's my hobby. I love it. I'll watch movies and I'll just dissect the hell out of them and I shouldn't have done that and things like that.
So we should never go to the cinema with you, because you'd just be.
No, I'm not. No, I'm slightly exaggerating a bit, but I love movies, and I understand watching them for entertainment purposes and then watching them for. Now slice them up and see whether I believed in the characters.
So the first time you would enjoy it, second, third, fourth time.
Yeah, if I hated it, I won't see it again. But if I enjoyed the film, probably the second or third time, I'll start looking at it going, right, which character don't I believe? Which one do I believe, and why? What would I have done if I was directing this? What would I have done different? Or, what continuity errors can I find? These other, things like that. So
what's your favourite film, and then what's your least favourite film?
Oh, please don't do this to me. It is literally impossible to say.
Is there a particular genre you like?
No, I love all sorts. I sort of go along with most of the list of the greatest movies ever made, like The Godfather, Shawshank Redemption, things like that. But then there's so many films that probably a lot of your listeners would never even heard of, that I just think are unbelievably perfect, like Sunset Boulevard, the Billy Wilder film. It's a Wonderful Life, I think, is just phenomenal. Just like, the old films and things like that, because that's when people talk about, movie stars and movies. No, they were stars. You know what I mean? They were movie stars, whereas now they're just, film actors. But whereas Anthony Hopkins, again, he's a star because he started in that era.
You can really see his career, the way it's evolved.
Oh yeah, and you can with everybody apart from Jason Statham and all that. But because they're just the same. So it's almost impossible to say what's my favourite movie, because I look at, and again with genres, I look at every film very different. I look at the quality of the work, the acting, the performances rather.
So would it be easier to ask you a favourite writer or director?
I think for favourite director, Oh, yeah. See, David Lean was just probably England's greatest. And again, people go, who? Brief Encounter, things that, the original Oliver Twist with Alec Guinness.
I always say Peter Greenaway and people say who?
Yeah, they're born. No, it's Greengrass, isn't it? Let me think. I think Steven Spielberg, but I also I think he's an amazing actor, he's an amazing producer, and he's a phenomenal director. It's Clint Eastwood. Unforgiven was just probably the greatest Western film I've ever seen. Second probably would be Once Upon a Time in the West, which is another old one, which people... I mean, I say to my students names of films, they look at me like I've just talked like Kermit the Frog. They're like, what's he talking about?
How old is he?
Because they're all 9. Oh, no, they're not. But it's like, compared to me, they are. Spielberg, things like that. I'm not really, controversial. I'm not really a fan of Quentin Tarantino, although everybody says that he's, phenomenal, which he is. I mean, so I've seen a couple of his films, but I'm not.
I like Pulp Fiction. The others...
I didn't like that.
Did you know?
No. See, again, it's... I think that sort of question...
I'm not knocking John Travolta.
I'm not... Please. I think the only good film that John Travolta made was the one he wasn't in. No.
But there's that bit on the dance floor where everyone's expecting him to really do Saturday Night Fever.
Yes,
again.
and he just does. Yeah. But to us, I think, not to knock your interviewing style, but to ask what's your favourite and what's your least favourite is very subjective. Because the amount of times that I've said to somebody, I hate that. What are you talking about? It's the most amazing, or vice versa. Oh, I love that. Oh no, do you know what I mean? So it's very subjective.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what mood you're in the day.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you'd also have a different one. So for sci-fi, you'd like another one. For thrillers, you'd like another one. For yeah. What's your worst film then? What would you not go to see?
Again, it's like, I mean, I didn't like Pulp Fiction. I just thought that was just...
Have you ever walked out of the cinema?
The Pulp Fiction. I walked out halfway through. I was going to walk... I amaze people when I say I've never seen a Harry Potter film. I've never seen Lord of the Rings. I've never seen... what's the other big one that they go on
Star
about?
Wars.
No, I've seen Star Wars. But the prequels were just dreadful. They were. No, they were. Again, why? What? Okay, to make money. I get that. But no, that's not the reason. And again, when you asked me earlier on, what do I love so much about or what do I hate about this industry? The money side of it. I know it's a job and you're there to make money, but don't make money for making money's sake. That's what prequels do. Oh, we made millions with those. The first 3, the original 3. Let's make a lot more millions by making rubbish sequels to explain the thing. You don't need to do that. What are you doing?
Because of the way the film industry works with the money involved.
Yeah.
What annoys me is nothing's made for adults.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be blue.
Yeah.
But everything's made for such a wide audience so that they can get the money in.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with Harry Potter, with Star Wars.
Yeah.
They're made for kids.
Yeah.
Where's the bit for the adults?
Exactly. And, Avatar. My sister adores Avatar. I'm like, I wouldn't even go and see it. That's not acting. 98% of the film is just computer generated. What's the point of watching that?
How do you feel about them scanning past actors?
Oh,
Humphrey Bogart.
Sure,
it's going to happen, isn't it?
Well, again, that's going to kill the industry. I am completely behind the SAG's strike in America because I just think it's disgusting. I think it's awful. No, it shouldn't be done. I mean, I've spoken a lot to people in the past completely off the industry subject about the internet, and I think the internet is probably the worst thing that's ever been created because it's damaged so many careers and people. And look at the high street, dead because everybody's buying offline. How many jobs has that taken? How many lives? But sorry to go very maudlin, but how many lives have been taken because of vitriolic comments on the internet and things like it's. Do you know what I mean? It's like I think, and because of the way that it's evolved with all this AI stuff, it's now seeping into this industry, and it's
so we can both agree that the
Yeah.
AI is going to kill the top end, but
Yeah.
is it not going to help the grassroots?
No, it's not going to help anything because why? You're killing off an industry that thrives on people's talent and people's ability. And you might say, well, people are using their talent to create the AI. No, that's if you're going to make a certain film, you're getting actors in to play those roles because you want them to exist. If you have to make them up, what's the point in doing it in the first place? It's I don't, make a cartoon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry don't exist, so they're on a cartoon. That's fine. That worked. Don't try and make it. It's like all these live action versions of the Disney cartoons they're making. What's the point?
Yeah.
You've got the cartoon already.
You've got the classic.
Yeah. Why? You've got the original cartoon, which is phenomenal. Why are you now making a shot-for-shot, The Lion King, shot-for-shot remake of something you've already got? What's the point?
Where's the creativity to get?
Where's the
something
creativity? Where's the reasoning behind it? Oh, wait a minute. I know the reasoning. Ka-ching. And that's what annoys me.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand with the writers, with ChatGTP and that, you can say, do me a screenplay in the style of 15 times.
Yeah. If you haven't got the talent to write a screenplay yourself, I've written movies. I've written scripts. I've not used, I've not typed into this chat, CG or whatever it's called. Write me a film to do with this. No, I've done it. I would never ever put my name credited on a film that is nothing that I've just thought, but let a computer write it for me. That's it's a lie because I didn't write it. The computer did. Do you know what I mean? And it's deceiving an audience, and I don't agree with that. I'm very old fashioned.
But industries evolve, though, don't they? I mean, I started.
Yeah, but they've got to evolve the right way.
That's with hindsight, though, isn't it? With hindsight, we can say, "Oh, it's gone the wrong way."
Yeah, but people should use hindsight for foresight. See what's damaged in the past. Don't repeat the same mistakes, but people do. Going back to what you said about directors, Hitchcock. One of my all-time favourites. There's not a Hitchcock film I don't think I've not seen. So brilliant.
Yeah. So you'd go to ChatGTP now and say, write me a play in the style of Hitchcock.
Yeah.
And then you'd then scrape James Stewart and all those off them and make them into the actors.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to the real world.
Yes.
What personal skills do you think actors need?
Right. Okay. This I was going to bring up when we talked about Marble, but I'll say it now. When I do my pitch for Marble, if any potential students are like, "Oh yeah, how do you think?" What do I what to think? I say I will never teach you how to act. Nobody can do that. That's in here, in your heart, in your blood. I will never teach you how to act. What I will do, and I promise to do, is teach you how to improve the talent you have to get to where you need to be. So to say what an actor needs, they need talent, they need drive, they need passion, they need dedication. If you're just looking at it as something, oh yeah, this is a bit of fun, you'll never do it. If you do it, this is like the passion that I have. If this is my lifeblood, you might not be the next Anthony Hopkins or whatever, but what you do will be your best. And that's all that should matter. Never strive to be the next Bond or the next Meryl Streep or the next Anthony Hopkins or the next Tom Hanks or the next
You can use them to
Sally
inspire
Field.
you, but
yeah, be inspired by them. I'd love to be like them, but don't aspire to be them. You're you. That's what matters. Yeah. So be you. Put everything into everything you do. Do one film, put everything into that. The next film, put everything that you can of the character into that. Put everything of the character into the next film you do, because you cannot do better than what you can do. Never try to be better than you are, because if you try to be better than you are, you'll be the actor thinking, I've got to make this better, I've got to make this better. Whereas the character, like I said earlier, the character never thinks that. The character just does it, and it's perfect.
But that's a fine line, isn't it? You're an actor, so you've got to strive to be the character.
If you understand the character enough, nothing should stop you from enveloping that character. You have to understand it. That comes with script analysis and, I say to my students, what does the character look like? So if I asked, if you were an actor and and I gave you a script of a film, and I said, I'd like for my film, Andrew, I'd like you to play Andrew. How would you know what the character looked like? How do you know what the character looks like?
I don't.
You do.
Go on. He looks like me.
Look in the mirror.
Right.
How do you know what a character looks like? Look in the mirror. Because if you are going to be the character, he looks exactly like you. What he wears and whatnot is irrelevant. That's dressing. It's like a cake. When you make a cake, it's still eggs, flour, sugar, etc. All the fancy roses and colourful chocolate drippings and, all that, that's
literally the icing on the cake.
That's coloured bubbles.
Yeah.
It's the crux of what makes it. It's still eggs, flour, sugar, etc. Any cake you buy is still eggs, flour. Doesn't matter what it looks like. It's still eggs, flour, sugar thing. So that's what the character is. What you do dressing wise, that's up to the script description or whatever. But does he wear glasses? Well, that's in the script. If you are the character, that's what he looks like.
Okay, you brought it up a couple of times. Let's talk about Marble Academy.
Yeah, sorry, my subtle hints.
It's obviously a big part of you now. So
yeah, it is.
Can you tell the listeners all about Marble?
Yeah. I mean, again, part of what I don't like about this industry is when people say, well, I've done all my training, I don't need any more now. I'm like, well, why haven't I seen you in anything then?
We're constantly learning.
Yes, you're always learning. Meryl Streep admits in many interviews that she still goes to drama classes because it's, you learn new stuff, you learn new techniques, you learn new ways of doing what you already know, but in a different way. So I was continuing my training, and I was at a drama academy quite a long time ago, and I was there watching, and everything that the students did, the tutor would be like, "Oh, that's amazing, that's wonderful, well done." And I thought, what? Why are you blowing smoke up there? I get it. This is for people who like acting. Like I said earlier, this is for people who like, and it was all about this. This is for people who like acting. And I thought, nah, this is not right. So a friend of mine said, you got a lot of passion and dedication. You know what you're doing. Why don't you start one up yourself, teach?
Is this where the idea for Marble came from? This is
where, and I thought, I've always liked directing. I've always liked, watching people and saying, no, if you do, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm a big head and, what I know goes and things like that. I learn, but if I see something and I think it can be improved, I will suggest rather than tell. So I'm like, just try that. It might work. It might not. So I got into sort of teaching that way. And then I started Marble Up because I thought, no, this is what I want to do. And so I started up the academy and I've got students in. And from when I started to now, to watch them grow and evolve and change and improve and things like that, I get so emotional because I get so proud of them. It's like amazing. We're actually doing our very first showcase in October, so in front of a live audience, to show what they've, how they've improved and what they've done and what they've learned from me and things like that.
So when was this? Was this when you moved to Manchester?
No. This was I actually opened the academy, launched and opened the academy not long before the very first lockdown. And I had quite a few students in, and we were doing it. And then, of course, lockdown happened, so we had to close. Then they said that educational places were allowed to open again. So we opened again, but then the second lockdown happened. Boom, we had to close again. And I lost a few students because they were like, well, you're not very consistent, are you? Like it was my fault. Oh, yeah, I just decided to throw a deadly disease into the world. Mad. So I lost a few, but that just proved that they weren't as dedicated as they said they were. And then I reopened, and we've, carried on strength by strength.
Is it just yourself?
It's just myself, at the moment, because I don't believe in big classes. I will never have more than 12 students, because I don't believe, like I say, I don't believe in big classes. I don't believe you can give the feedback and the direction and whatnot to a mass class. How can you? If you've got 30 people and you can't watch and give the genuine feedback to everybody in the time limit that you've got to do, I'd have to run classes for like 6 hours a day to do that. So
what is it that Marble offers?
Marble offers exactly what I said earlier on. I will never teach you how to act. No one can do that. I promise to improve the talent you have to get you to where you want to be. I will give you the tools. What you do with it is up to you, but I will give you the tools. You will get out what you put in. If you show me that you are passionate and dedicated to this career, and it is a career, I will help you get to where you need to be. If you're just in it for the laugh, you come to the wrong place. Don't need you. You have to audition to come to Marble. You don't just like, oh yeah, I want to be an actor. Right, well, you're in. No, that doesn't happen. You have to audition. I have to see that there's something there, that there is some talent hidden. You have to match it. You have to pass the criteria when you do. I would send out a monologue to somebody. If they ask me, how do I get in? I'll send you a monologue to perform. And I mean perform. I don't just mean vomit the lines you learn. I don't want to see whether you've got a good memory. I want to see whether you can act it. Do you know what I mean? So if you pass the criteria, you're in. If you don't, but you're quite close, I'll say, just practice a bit more. Come back in a couple of months, and or 3 or 4 months, and we'll discuss it again. You can audition again, but you've got with Marble, you've got to be passionate. You've got to be dedicated, and I will, like I said, I will help you get there. I will boost your confidence. I mean, some of the testimonials from some of the students that we've got on my website, they talk about how I boost. I've got one who came in. And I'm like, now it's like, right, okay, bring it down a bit. But that's because they're as passionate as me. And, I've got one student, bless him, who is just like, can I ask you a question? Yes, of course. And he's like, because he wants to learn. You can tell the people who want to learn. And he's like, I want to learn. And I get those, this is what makes me so proud. Those light bulb moments when you explain something to someone, like when I was explaining about what does a character look like, their eyes just go as they get it. Do you know what I mean? It sinks, or script analysis, understanding a script, where to inflect. If you inflect on that word, you change the meaning of the sentence. So if you inflect on that word, it becomes more powerful. But don't think power is just, it can be a lot more, So understanding a script is so vital. And once I get into how to understand the script, you can just see them sitting there going, yeah. And that look makes me just sort of go, oh. It's like that, hearing that woman in the audience, I've got them. Do you know what I mean? It's that, and that just makes me so proud. I love it.
So is there a wide age range at Academy?
17 to dead, really. I mean, it's just like, yeah. So, I mean, the youngest I've got's 18, I think. But, yeah.
It's hard to get something out of someone that's dead.
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah, but he teaches.
Is it expensive?
No, well, again, that's subjective. It's £800 a year. You get 48 classes, or £80 a month. You get 4 classes because of the thing. But you get, if you paid for a year and you get 48 classes, you get 48 classes. If you're off ill or you're at an audition or whatever, okay, I'll roll it over so you get, I'll roll it over the next week. I mean, if you're like, well, I'm going to a party, that doesn't wash, because that's nothing to do with it, life happens. I get that, but parties and things like that are not. But you get 48 classes. So many academies or colleges or whatever, you pay for a year. If you miss a week, well, it's not my fault. I'm still having them. No, I don't do that. And it's the same with the £80 a month. If you're paying for 4 classes, you get 4 classes. But also, you're not paying for me to tutor you on a Monday night, 7 till 9, when classes are held. You're getting me to tutor you till the day you decide to leave Marble. So if you're stuck on a script or you need help or you need, don't understand this at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night or whatever, ring me up, text me, ring. I'll tutor you. I'll help you. I'm there for my students, not the other way around. And so many places are the other way around, and I hate that.
So do the students graduate? Did they at the end of a year, 2 years?
There's again, it's not. I mean, if you are consistent with us for 2 years, you you have the ability to get onto Spotlight because we are Spotlight recognised. So I've spoken with Spotlight, and under the training criteria to get onto Spotlight, if we are a recognised drama academy. You don't really get qualifications because they mean nothing. That's a piece of paper. I've got degrees. Never used it. Nobody's ever said to me, "Can I have a look at your thing?" No, so long as you can do it, I've never gone into an audition and said, I'm going to be, oh, by the way, here's my degree in acting. Nobody's ever asked me that. They want to see if I can act. No, we don't do things like that, but it's just a rolling, you learn every week and you learn new things. We do, like I said, we've got the showcase coming up in October. We'll be putting on productions and things like that. That's their graduation, to see, so that the audience can see what they've learned and things like that, rather than a piece of paper to saying, well done, you've passed.
So does the academy run a production each year, or does it? Because you're still quite young, really, aren't you? Because, like you said, it only came about.
I like him.
Only came about since COVID. So
yeah. Oh, the academy's quite young. Yes. I thought you meant me. I was good. The academy's very young. So we're still, but that doesn't mean to say we don't know what we're doing. Do you know what I mean? Some of the longest places that have been around the longest don't necessarily have to be that good, but yet some of the new ones don't have to be that good either. What I believe, and again, it's subjective, it's my place. I could big up my place forever, and I could promote Marble till the cows come home, because it's mine. So people are going to go, well, you're going to say that, it's your academy. Don't listen to me. If you want to know what happens at Marble, talk to my students. Look at the testimonials on my website. Look at their name. Find them on, if you're on the same social media acting places that they are, message them. Say, what does Christian give?
Yeah.
That's the thing to do. Because if you listen to a teacher, they're going to big up, anybody who owns a business is obviously going to promote their business to the hill because it's theirs. What matters is the students. Listen to them.
So Marble is a business.
Yeah.
Your passions come through, obviously,
yeah,
for both acting and your academy. What's been the most difficult thing about setting up Marble Academy?
Getting students in. Because the thing is, because we're new, people are like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, do we, we don't know them. Unfortunately, the old adage of people stick to what they know. They've heard of the ones that have been around a while. So they think, well, they must be better, we'll go to them, because they've been around a long time.
So you don't yet feel as though you're established enough?
No, not yet. I mean, trying to establish myself as somewhere new, and people are like, oh, well, we've not heard of this, is it any good, and all that, and that's, but it's like any business. Amazon had to start with one customer.
Out of a garage.
Yeah, exactly. So now look at it. We'll get there. I'm not saying that I want 12 students tomorrow. That's not what I want. I am happy to tutor 4 students, 3 students. I'm happy to tutor 1 student if I have to, because that's, even though it's my business, my job, my thing, that's not what I'm in it for. I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for them. I could quite happily sit at home on a Monday evening with my cat on my lap watching rubbish on telly. Not a problem. Not a problem.
Watching Tarantino films.
Please. That's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it for them. I'm in it for the passion. I'm in it for the industry. I'm in it to like I said, to watch them grow and learn and understand. And it makes me, I just love it.
I'm going to ask you for a funny moment now. Is there a funny moment that comes to mind talking about your students? I mean, you've obviously seen some that have got spark.
Yeah.
Some that could be a wet flannel.
No, I've not got any that are a wet flannel. I would never ever say that. I've some that have got more spark than others, but they're the ones that haven't are perhaps picking up a lot slower than the others. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody does. Everybody's got their own.
We all move at different speeds.
Exactly. So the others are like getting it, but they're like, I just need one more. Can you just get it? Right? Okay, no problem. Do you know what I mean? I never knock. I never ever say, why aren't you getting it? I'm not like that. That's horrible. Why would you do that to somebody? And you knock their confidence then because they think, oh, I'm never going to get it. No, I boost their confidence. I explain why, and I give everybody genuine feedback. I'll never, like I said, never blow smoke up there, and I will. If you're wrong, I will tell you, but I will then tell you why and how to improve it. And things like that. And that's what they love about me. That's what a recent student that I've got, when he came for his audition, I said to him, why us? And that's exactly what he said. He said, because you don't, sugarcoat anything. You're very honest. If if they're rubbish, you'll tell them, but you'll tell them why. You're very serious about the career. You're very passionate and dedicated, and that's why I love, because that's what's different about your academy to a lot of others. You are absolutely on point with things. And I'm very, very honest in my, the way that I told. I mean, we had a class last night, and I was telling them off because, for things that because they came in last night and they were a bit, they weren't on full tank, as I say, and they were like, and I was like,
so you assess the class straight away.
Straight away. Oh yeah, straight away. I'm very good at that, and I can. And halfway through, I stopped him and I said, "Well, do you want to go home? What's the matter with you? Am I giving you too much to do? What's the matter?" And they're like, no. I said, "I don't know what it is tonight." Right, well, back your ideas up, because that's why you're here. Why you wait? Because it's like, you're not wasting my time. You're wasting your time and your money. If you're not that into it, what are you doing here? Mm-hmm. And they no, right, we'll go. And the second half of the thing, they were much better. So, I should. A lot of teachers would just be like, right, okay, well, we'll carry on anyway, and blah blah. No, that's not how it works. They'll never learn otherwise.
So, is it a funny moment that comes to mind?
I think the funny moments are the eyes getting wider when the penny drops. It's like or the that light bulb moments, as I call it. It's just I was giving feedback to one person, and I just looked over at one of the others, and they were sat there with eyes absolutely the size of dinner plates, like, yeah, and I just started laughing because it was just the look on his face, that kind of thing. And we're rehearsing at the moment for the showcase, and one of the actors is in one of my scenes. Funnily enough, a scene I wrote, and she just does this little bit of business that I've not directed at all, and she just does this little bit of business, which is movement without talking, things like that. It's when, like, if like moving a cup or something, that's called business, things like that. So, and she just did this little bit of business that I hadn't directed, and I said, and I just collapsed with laughter. So you're keeping that in? That's hilarious, because it's what the character would do. It's fun. It's a funny scene, it's a comedic scene, and she knew that, and the character was funny.
So that's her being the character.
That's her being the character. That's her being the character. She just did it because that's what the character would do. Or she believed. That's her interpretation of that character, and that's what the character would do.
So, have you got a plan? 5, 10, 15 years. Where do you want to take Marble Academy?
I want Marble Academy to be in. I would say in exactly the same place, and that sounds odd. Well, you're not moving anywhere, because I'm.
You don't mean physical place?
I don't mean physical. I mean, I'd love to have my own building and things like that, but I need to win the lottery for that. And unfortunately, their machine keeps breaking down. They pull out the wrong numbers.
It's my turn as well next.
Right. I keep pulling the right numbers. It's them pulling them out wrong. It's not my fault. So I'd love to have my own building, but I want Marble to be in the same place, metaphorically, as in, I don't need to be the best. I don't want to be the best. I don't want to be the one that everybody goes, oh, let's get into No, I don't need that. I want, because then you get the the people who aren't really that genuine. They just want to come in because they've heard of the name. It's like, you know, again, Amazon. It's very rare I buy stuff off Amazon just because of the name. You know, I'd go to Johnson's Corner Shop or whatever it is because, like, you know, it's they do exactly the same. Not necessarily cheaper. I don't care about that. It's the quality. Do you know what I mean? I don't go just because of a name. So I want people to come to Marble because they know the reputation rather than because of the name. You know, I want people to come to Marble because they want to progress in their career, not because they believe it's the best place to go to progress in your career. There are a lot of great places to go in Manchester. And I'm not knocking any of the other academies at all. What I'm saying is you have a choice. What they do, I might not do, but then what I do, they might not do. They will do that slightly different to how I do it. I'm not saying they're wrong, and I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm not saying I'm wrong and they're right. It's a totally different thing. Look at the different styles of acting between Meryl Streep and, say, Sally Field. They are both stunning performers, but yet they do things in a different way. That's exactly the same as drama academies. They're both as good as each other. They just do things in a very different way.
So it sounds like you want to keep it a nice, small unit. You're not,
like I say,
I'll
never have more than 12 students because I don't believe I can give genuine feedback to a massive class. I want genuine. All I ask for any student at Marble or any potential student at Marble is passion, dedication, commitment, and be career-minded. Know where you want to go. Understand. And if you want to get there and you want me to help you get there, I'll give you every minute of my time.
Okay, Christian, can we move on? Because you do other things as well, and you do the Actors and Filmmakers networking events.
Yeah. I started that because, like I mentioned earlier on, one of my students came up to me and said, "How do we get noticed? How do we get out there? How do we get into films and how do we and all this and how do we get into to productions and how do we get noticed? How do we get our name out there?" And I just looked and said, "Does anybody know you're looking?" Nobody's going to hand you on a silver plate. They might find you on social media and things like that, like I mentioned. But it's very rare in this life that anything's handed on a silver plate. You have to go and find it. You have to do the work. Now, the way to do the work is to meet people, understand, let them know that you're in the business, let them know who you are, what you do, things like that. So I've been to networking events and I've met loads of people. Like I say, when you're doing, when I said earlier on about doing free films, you're meeting people, you're almost at a networking event, even though you're working on a movie. So you're meeting new people. So going to networking events is incredibly important. You might see the same people at the same event next time, but don't say, well, I've met you. I don't need to speak to them again because they might have met somebody else that might want to speak to you, or they might say to you, well, at the last networking event, I met this guy who might be interested in you for such and such, get in touch. Do you know what I mean? So you network again, even though that person might not be there. If you see where I'm going with that?
Well, it hints also at the competitive nature of the industry, isn't it? Because there's so many people doing it.
Yeah.
There's only so many roles.
Exactly.
If your face isn't up there.
Yeah, if your face isn't up there, they're going, I mean, how many times have, you seen the same person in the same thing all the time? You know what I mean? It's because nobody knows that anybody else is out there. And so they go to like the old saying, you stick to what you know. No, give them something different. Let them show them. So you meet the same people at networking events that you might have met last time, but you might meet somebody new. But it is your opportunity to say, this is who I am, what I do. I've met everybody from actors to sound to people who compose music for films to cameramen to even runners and clapperboard people and the assistant ADs, assistant camera. I've met all them.
It's a teamwork.
Yeah, it is. And actually that's quite a good point. I've said to my students as well, who's the most important person on a film set? And they've gone, the director, wrong. Producer, wrong. Actor, wrong. Cameraman, wrong. Everyone. Because if there wasn't an actor, there wouldn't be a movie. If there wasn't a cameraman, there wouldn't be a movie. If there wasn't a director, there wouldn't be a movie. If there wasn't a producer, there wouldn't be a movie. If there wasn't a soundman, there wouldn't be a movie. Nobody would hear it. You know, all that. So it's a that's why I say it's a community. Why are you destroying everybody else in the community on social media by putting them down? No, don't do that. So, you know, you're involved with a film is not just you, you know. So many of the greatest actors in the world, when they're in a movie, it's not just them. They might have their name first on top billing, but it's not just them.
There's those hundreds of people that follow.
Hundreds of people that follow, and they make the movie. Do you know what I mean? So without them, you're going to look awful, or you know, nobody's going to want to see your movie if you don't have a good sound person. You know, Tom Hanks could be in a movie, but if his movie's so like Norman Collier, nobody's going to want to go and see it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. So you meet, at these networking events, you meet all the people who are that important to, you know, your career and everybody else's career. So they are unbearably important to go to. You know.
So where did the idea for the network come from?
That, you know, the understanding that it is not just you in a movie or a theatre production or an advert, for example. There are so many people behind the scenes, and you have to get in touch with them. And again, like I said about doing those unpaid movies, you know, I met so many people and I was chatting to so many people, you know, oh, you're a great cameraman. Oh, I've got a couple of films that I'm in mind and things like that. I'm going to need a cameraman. And can I give me a card when you're ready to make your movie? Get in touch. Boom. That's cut out half my work, because if I know that they're that good, I'm going to go to them.
So when's the next event?
September 24th, Sunday, September 24th, 2 p.m. at Home MCR in the centre of Manchester. All details on the website. No, all details on Facebook, actually. I haven't actually put it on my website, but I put it on Facebook and our Facebook page, and also it's on the Eventbrite page, because you have to get a ticket to get in. And again, this is what we're saying about the social media and how people destroy everybody else in the industry. About 3 of the networking event that I put on ago, somebody posted a vitriolic comment on one of the adverts on the Facebook page saying, I think it's disgusting he's charging people to go into networking just to meet people. I'm like, well, firstly, you're not just meeting people, you're making contacts for your career. Does that not sound important to you? Secondly, I have to pay £350 for the room. Unless you want to pay it, I'm more than happy to do free tickets if you're happy to pay for the room. Do you know what I mean? It's coming out of my pocket. And I'm, as I said, I haven't won the lottery yet. As soon as I win the lottery, you might get free events, people. But until then, so it's like, and like I say, you're not just, and it's not £9,000 to turn up. It's £15 for Christ's sake. It's like, excuse my language, it's £50. Your 2 cups of coffee is nearly that now at Costa. Do you know what I mean? So it's not that much. And like I say, you're not just meeting people. You're not just, hi, how are you? Well, that's it. You're making important contacts. You're meeting people who might improve, help, boost your career. If you're frightened of losing a couple of pounds to do that, you're in the wrong business.
Is there an itinerary? What's going to happen on the day?
Yes, well, sort of. I mean, it's a free for all. You can mingle and chat and everything. But I do my chat on the microphone, and then I open the microphone up to everybody else, because it's human nature to be a bit like, I don't know whether I should talk to them, and I don't know who that, and so many people in past, before I started doing before it evolved properly, people were coming up to me saying, do you know if there's a producer here? Do you know if there's a samba? Ask them. That's what networking is about.
So does everyone get a chance to do an elevator pitch?
Everybody gets a chance to go on the microphone and say, hi, I'm Joe Bloggs. I'm a producer. If you're looking for a producer, getting to, blah, blah, blah. I've done this, I've done that. I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. If you're interested, blah, blah, blah. next person. Hi, I'm this. If you need music for your next event, I'm a composer. We can have a chat about what style of music you like, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing this. Hi, I'm this. I've had people from London come up. I've had people from Essex come up. I've had somebody from Russia come over because they've seen it on thing and they know how important it is. In fact, the Russian lad, I actually got in. I was chatting to him at the networking event, and because I was chatting to him and I was actually talking to him about marble and all that because he'd seen marble and he was interested in that. And there was a producer-director there as well. And the producer-director I'd worked with before. And about 6 weeks after the networking event had ended, the producer-director that I'd worked with before rang me up and said, I'm doing a movie. Do you have any students at Marble who speak Russian? And I went, no, but I know somebody who does. And I got him a job. I got him work, and it was paid and everything. And he came back up to Manchester, did the job, absolutely loved it. Boom, went in and went down again. So it works.
Perfect example of networking.
Exactly.
It's on the day, and it starts at
2:00 till I usually have the run until about 6:30. So about 4 and a bit, 4 hours and 4 and a bit hours. But that's ample. I think. So yeah, it's grown exponentially. I mean, when I first started doing them, I had about between 12 and 15 people turn up because they were a bit unsure. And the last event, there was over 100.
So you've got the microphone, you've just opened up.
Yeah.
Is it then going to be your turn too? Because you mentioned you've got films that you want to do. Are you going to?
Yeah. I mean, I write as well. I've written showreel scenes for my students, and I've written a few short films, and I've actually written a feature. Now the features take me 4.5 years to write, but it's my baby, and I really want to get it written.
You should try Chat GTP. I'm sure.
No, it's saving. No, I mean it's my baby, and I really want to get it made. But I want to get the short films made as well first, because the long film, the feature it's going to take a lot of work to get it made.
So you've got all these things spinning about, little shorts and a long feature.
Yeah.
Do they play off each other? I mean, how do you compartmentalise them?
Well, the long film I've sort of. That because that's the feature film, long.
So you dip into that every now and then.
Well, I do and I don't. I mean, I know that that's going to be like a major project because it's a feature. So and it's like about 98 pages. So that's a big feature, and I want that to be absolutely on point because that's my baby. I've worked on that a long time, and it's even though I wrote it, I think it's great, and I've shown it to producers, and they love it, and they want to. Some of them have said they get involved and then ghosted me, which I don't understand at all. I don't see the point of that. But there's a hidden message that they're saying that is absolutely perfect, and that is not done, and you've got an advantage there because that's not been done before, or doing things like that. So that's the thing. But the short films that I've also written, I'm trying to get done first because it'll give me that leg up to know people in the industry to help again with the big, later on with the big film. So, but again, it's a struggle with funding and with for one of my films, I'm trying to find a location at the moment, and trying to find a location is just a nightmare, especially when you haven't got any money. And they're like, yeah, we can have our place, not a problem, but it's going to be like, £5,500. And you're thinking, why? Is it gold plated? I mean, why? How can you justify? Because all I want is a room, like a home office or a home study. Because it's the premise of the film or the thing is, the crux is, it's like a modern day crime boss, bit like think Godfather, but not. I haven't copied the Godfather. Think like that kind of person who's the head of this great crime, the best crime syndicate, and he's got a home office. That's it. I don't need a swimming pool. I don't need a boat. I don't need all the trimmings that go with it. I just need a home office, and to find that is a nightmare. And it's ridiculous. I don't understand why not. But anyway, so I'm struggling with that. I'm struggling with funding. I've put out I've done a GoFundMe page, and nobody's interested. And I understand that we're in a financial thing at the moment, and nobody's got any money. I get that, and I appreciate that, and that's fine. But like I say, this is supposed to be a community. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. If people helped out other people, a lot more films would get made. But nobody seems to be interested. Please, please, please. No, I'm kidding.
Christian,
Yeah.
I'm headshot photographer.
Yes.
Do you like having your headshot taken?
I don't mind. I mean, it's got to be done. So yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, I never know what. I'm not very photogenic. I mean, you can't make a sounds there out of the silk purse, but it's that's what you look like. That's what you look like.
And so, if you was to recommend a professional headshot photographer to your students, what would you ask them to get out of it? I mean,
well, students and past students and future students, you've got to have headshots. You've got to have headshots. You've got to have show reels. That's it. So for your headshots, variety, show range, because if, for example, I'm looking for a gangster for my movie, I won't look for somebody I'll look for somebody who's like got a bit of a look of, think, oh yeah, that. So show them range, show them what you can do. Don't let all your photos be exactly the same. Don't wear the same clothes. I'm not saying dress up as a Viking. No, I'm not saying dress up as Bond. I'm not saying dress up as a gangster. But show them that you can be different. Show them that you are an actor, not just somebody having your photos taken. Otherwise, you might as well just sell them a selfie. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Show them that you've got range. Show them different looks. Do your hair different. Do your, if you're a female actor, don't coat yourself in makeup. Show them a natural look, but show them range. I mean, the headshot photographer I use, excuse me, but we use them a lot, will say, right, give me especially to the young ones, give me a look like you're the head of one of these, gang lads and all the, and he looked very stern and all that, and then be a bit sweeter or be sporty or whatever, things like that. You've got to, casting directors and people who are interested in making movies are looking for a certain character, looking for a certain look for that movie, for that thing. So when they look at your headshots, they're looking to see if you've got that look that might work.
Show that sparkle in the eye. Yeah,
and show that you've got potential to be that character. Let's have a look at what you can do. Do you know what I mean? So make it like that. Don't just be sat there.
In how many pictures? 4 more?
I wouldn't put I wouldn't overload your profile with like hundreds of pictures showing everything you can do. That's ridiculous. 4 for 5 maximum, but 4 is a good number, because you've got to remember, casting directors don't have time to flick through if they're going to be like looking through 100 profiles of people who are auditioning, who have applied to audition for a role. They're not going to sit there looking at 40 pictures from 100 people. They haven't got the time for that. So make their life easy, make it short. Again, with show reels, I think show reels are done wrong. I think show reels are done wrong at the moment. And I'm going to throw out an idea here, which I've got, which nobody better steal.
Just let me get a pen and paper.
Yeah. I shouldn't really say things like this out loud, but I think show reels are done wrong, because show reels at the moment is one reel with 3 clips in it, 3 or 4 clips in it showing different things. Why don't you just do 4 separate things? 1 comedy, 1 action, 1 drama. One thing, because if a person is making a comedy film, they're not going to want to look through 2 minutes of action and then the comedy, or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? To find the comedy, if I'm making a comedy film and you've got a comedy scene, I think I'm going to look at that. I'm not interested in the action because I'm not making an action movie, so I'll look at the comedy thing. Do you know what I mean?
So a bit like the 4 headshots you would have.
4 separate, rather than a show reel of one video showing different things. Have 4 different genres: comedy, action, emotion, or what, or some, whatever so you can show range, so that if somebody is making a comedy film, for example, they don't have to sit looking through all your very dramatic, passionate Shakespearean thinking that's not comedy. Let's have, and waiting, because like I say, they've got 100 people who are help them. That helps you.
Prevent the scroll.
Yeah, because if I was a casting director, which I have been in the past, I mean, I've been paid to do it when I was in London. If I'm looking for a certain genre of film or theatre, I was doing theatre then, and I'm looking for a certain look. So I'm looking at an actor's profile, and I'm looking at the show reel, and I'm looking for a comedy scene, because it was comedy I was doing. Boom, let's have a look at the thing. I've got 2 minutes of, action, boom, emotion, crying, all this. And then the last 30 seconds, they're doing some crazy comedy. That's where, I like that, but I've wasted 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes. 2 minutes is nothing. Do you know what I mean? People say, well, that's not a lot. But then I've got 300 other people I've got to watch. That takes up more.
Well, it's like, this is a piece of string question. How long should those clips be?
Well, each one, I would say, if you're doing a show reel as it is at the moment, with one video of different clips, I would say probably no more than 2:20, 2:30. Don't do a long, because it's like I say, casting directors haven't got that time. If you're going to do the new way, which I think is far easier for them and far better, each clip probably about a minute for each clip. Because they want to say, yes, they can do comedy. That's brilliant. Right, move on. Let's get.
You can get it across because most adverts are 15 seconds. And
exactly.
Look at the information they get across.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. So just don't overdo it. I mean, some people say, "Oh, should you do monologues on self-tapes?" Again, this industry is very contradictory. Some people say never do a monologue because they want to see that you can perform with somebody else. Some people say, yeah, do a monologue. Why? What's the as long as you're performing, as long as you're acting, they can see you're acting. So what's the difference? It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. I personally prefer to see a show reel where you're acting alongside somebody, because you can see whether the person that I'm interested in knows how to react and how to listen and how to act alongside that. I don't mind watching monologues, but I much prefer to see somebody working alongside somebody, because at the end of the day, if I'm doing a film, they're going to have to work alongside somebody. So I want to see if they can. But that doesn't prevent you from doing a monologue,
So would you recommend to students and actors to have a YouTube channel, an Instagram channel, so that they could put these?
Yes, but make it very, 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 very separate from your personal life. No casting director in the world wants to see your dog on holiday with you, jumping into pools and all that. No casting director in the world wants to see your wonderful snaps of Gran Canaria or anything like that. No, just not interested.
They don't want to go on Twitter and hear your political views.
Not interested. So do a personal profile wherever you want to do it. Facebook, Twitter, Insta, Spotgram, casting, Snap thing, whatever. And YouTube and all that, that's all fine. That's all you're fine. Do a separate one with, Joe Blogs personal, blah, 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 Joe Blogs actor. And have all your acting stuff on there, your headshots, what you've done before, maybe clips of or photos from your classes or whatever, or things like that, and your show reel and things. Promote yourself on that. Promote yourself, because, like I say, nobody, if you've been to a networking event, not necessarily mine, you might go to one in London or whatever, write about it on your actor's profile. Been there, talk to this, blah, 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 blah. Don't put it on your personal one, because your family and friends, they might be interested, but if they're that close to you, they'll look at your actor's one. Your friends who are not interested in your career won't be, I don't want to read about that. Do you know what I mean? So, you get that, So, yes, it's very important to have your own social media, which is your business social media,
because that's your online CV.
Yes, it is your online CV, and again, it's where people will find you, where you'll get noticed and things like that. Because, like you found me through my business, not through my personal Facebook thing. So that's Do you see what I mean? So yes, it is important. Get your show, get your YouTube show, do monologues every so often, just at home to practice, to your own your own training, your own thing. Just do a monologue and film it, put it on YouTube. I've seen people who have done monologues when they first started at Tribe Academy and then done a monologue now, and you can visually see from the first monologue how they were good, but now, wow, that's improved, and why it's improved and things like that. So yeah, do that. The most important thing is to be visual, because like I said, how's anybody going to know you're out there?
Excellent advice there. So we're coming close to the end of the podcast now, Christian. There's one question I always like to ask people.
Okay.
Who would you like to see on the podcast next? Would you like a writer, a director, an actor?
Well, you got that. No, okay.
Is there an academy you'd recommend?
There's a wonderful... yeah. These podcasts are fantastic. And I would say just keep doing what you're doing, and because you do it well. Don't fix what ain't broke. Stick to what you know and do, because if you veer off a certain tangent, you might ruin a reputation that you've already set up by doing it one way. So to see people on, keeps bringing people in from the industry to discuss it, because no matter what I've said, like I said earlier, they might do it different, but they're not wrong. I'm not right, but then I'm not right and I'm not wrong. Or I'm not wrong and I'm not, the vice versa thing. So if you bring in somebody, they might completely say everything contradictory to what I say about the industry, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong and I'm right, or vice versa. It just means they look at it from a different perspective, because everybody has their own view on the world. So, and people will listen to two different sides and decide which one they want to pick themselves.
It's a big group of people I can choose from. I mean, like you said,
you've got producers, you've got writers, you've got directors, you've got sound people. What inspires you to make that kind of music? I mean, my brother's a classical musician, and every time I go back to Jersey and talk to him, I'm asking him what he thinks are ridiculous questions. But it's because I don't know. I'm not a musician. I'm not in that industry. Why do you write? Do you write for every different instrument, or do you just write a piece of music and they have to work out what to play? And he's like, no, you write for every different instrument, of course. Well, I didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so, think questions like that. But anybody who's involved in even makeup artists, what makes, how do you do that kind of? I mean, I've used a special effects makeup artist who's done, bullet holes and scars and things like that. I promote her on my website, and what makes you decide to do that? How do you do? Without giving away trade secrets, how do you do? Things like that. And what inspires you? Like you asked me, what's inspired you to do all this? Just listen to people. That's people in the industry are in the industry for a reason.
Yeah. Well, because you've not mentioned any names, I can't ask you the last one, which was, what question would you like to be asked of them? Is there a burning question you've always wanted to be answered by someone?
Why?
You would ask everyone why.
Yeah, why? Why? What's why? Like you asked me, what most, it was. I say to, when I'm talking to actors, I say to them, why? What was that light bulb moment for you that made you know this is it? Like I said, my light bulb moment was watching that DVD of Macbeth. As soon as that ended, that's it. That's what I have to do. Why? What's that one moment that got you? Because it's in here. And it never leaves you, or it shouldn't.
Excellent. That is a perfect note to end the podcast on. Thank you, Christian, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And I hopefully will attend your networking events, and I hope everything goes well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Entertainment Video Podcast. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and let me know who you would like to see on a future Entertainment Video Podcast.